this row starts with a 2 and a 1. So 1, 2, X, 1. Okay, then 2. So I still need a 2 in here. So this column is complete. So the 2 can't be over here. So here we've got 1, 2. This column is complete. So there's the last one. Right. this column I have a 2 and another 2, which ends the column. Now I know this 5 goes to right there, and an X because there's a 1 at the bottom. And let's see, and this column ends with 1, so an X right here. This row's a 2, so I know I can put an X there. 3. Okay, in this column, this is a 2. Put an X right there. 4, 5. And this is a 6. In this column, well, this is a 2, so I'll put an X. The 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. X. This right here. So here we have a 3 and a 7, which makes 10. X in between would be 11. That can't all fit to the right of this X. So this is part of the 7 alone. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and X's. And over here we'll have the 3. If it starts, it'll be 1, 2, 3. If it starts, it will be 1, 2, 3. And in both of these columns, these are 1s. And this row starts with a 2, so I can put an X right here. And this is 1, 2. In this column, that's a 2, so I'll put an X. And down here, this is a 2. So 1, 2. This row, this is the start of a 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then X's. Over here, I'll have a 1, this has to be the 3 because I can't put a 3